Okay, let's unpack this. For decades, I mean, many thought nuclear energy was fading, right? Sort of a relic. But today, we're seeing this massive revival.
Yeah.
It's undeniable. So our mission in this deep dive is to really get into why this is happening now and, what it actually means for you.
Yeah, it's fascinating. What's really striking here is how you've got these multiple, really powerful global forces sort of aligning. It's creating this undeniable shift. And look, this isn't just a flash in the pan. We're likely looking at a multi-decade growth story
Yeah.
driven by, well, what we're calling the inescapable atom.
Right. And that's where it gets really interesting because, like you said, it's not just about green energy anymore. Not solely. Nuclear is kind of morphing into this core strategic thing. National security, tech leadership, economic competitiveness. It really feels like the atom's second act. So, okay, what specific forces are really pushing this resurgence right now?
Well, it boils down to a really powerful combination. Three sort of unstoppable macro trends converging. First, you've got global decarbonization. I mean, the push is huge. We need massive amounts of 2 to the 5 and zero carbon power. That's steady baseload energy supply. And renewables, while absolutely vital, they just can't reliably fill that continuous gap alone.
Okay, yeah, that reliability piece makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
So what's the second big driver?
The second one is this profound geopolitical shift, Russia weaponizing its energy supplies. That really forced Europe and its allies to pivot hard towards energy independence. And that led to this wave of support for restarting nuclear plants, even building new ones.
And the third, you mentioned three.
The third. This one might be the most transformative, actually. It's the AI revolution. Artificial intelligence is creating just this unprecedented structural hunger for electricity. Our sources are saying data center power demand alone could jump maybe 5 times by 2035. That turns big tech, think Microsoft, Google, Amazon, into potentially massive new customers for nuclear power.
Wow. AI needing that much power? That really is a game changer. And we're seeing policies actually backing all this up now, aren't we?
Well, absolutely. The policy tailwinds are strong. At COP28, you had 22 nations pledging to triple global nuclear capacity by 2050. Triple. Then, here in the U.S., there is the ADVANCE Act of 2024. The aim there is to quadruple U.S. capacity, streamline the NRC, that's the Nuclear Regulatory Commission.
And the safety folks.
Exactly, make things more efficient. And maybe the biggest signal, just this June 2025, the World Bank lifted its decades-long ban on financing nuclear projects. That unlocks huge capital. You can feel the investor mood shift, too, from fear to FOMO, fear of missing out. Private investment in 2024, it actually topped the previous 4 years combined.
Okay, so there's real money flowing in, serious policy support. With all that momentum, who are the key players you should be watching, the ones actually building this out?
Right. Well, looking at the sources, one name that keeps coming up is Centrus Energy, ticker LEU. Think of them as a crucial picks and shovels play. They have the only U.S. license from the NRC to produce HALEU. That's high-assay, low-enriched uranium.
HALEU. That's the advanced fuel, right, for the newer reactors.
Precisely. It's more concentrated, allows for smaller, more efficient next-gen reactor designs. Centrus is already profitable. They've got $1 billion DOE contract, and they benefit directly from the U.S. ban on Russian uranium. So very well positioned.
Okay, that's the fuel side. What are the actual reactor technology, the next-gen stuff?
Yeah, that's where you get into maybe higher growth, but also higher risk bets.
Yeah.
Companies like NuScale Power, ticker SMR, and OKLO Inc., ticker OKLO. NuScale is seen as the leader in U.S. small modular reactors, SMRs. These are factory-built, smaller units.
Easier to deploy.
That's the idea. Faster, more flexible. They're actually the first and only company with an SMR design fully certified by the NRC, and they're apparently in advanced dialogue with those big data center operators we talked about.
Interesting. And OKLO, what's their angle?
OKLO's fascinating. Backed by Sam Altman, for one. Their unique thing is their reactors can run on recycled nuclear fuel. And they just landed a big contract in June 2025, providing power to Eielson Air Force Base up in Alaska. A real landmark deal for them.
Okay, so specific companies. But what if you're looking for broader exposure? Across the whole sector, how do the ETFs stack up?
Good question. The sources seem to favor the VanEck Uranium Plus Nuclear Energy ETF, ticker NLR. It's seen as strategically better because it gives you diversified exposure to the whole ecosystem, miners, tech, utilities, the lot. There's also the Global X Uranium ETF, URA, but that's much more focused just on the uranium commodity and the miners. For most investors wanting broad exposure, NLR seems like the more comprehensive, balanced choice according to our analysis.
This all sounds incredibly positive, almost too good to be true. But nuclear power. Historically, it's had some serious challenges, right? What about the risks?
That's absolutely critical to remember. Yes, the outlook is strong, but we can't ignore the history. Execution risk is real, cost overruns, project delays. Think about Plant Vogtle, for instance. Those are major hurdles that have plagued projects in the past. And even with favorable policies now, you could still see regulatory or political bottlenecks pop up again. Plus, the uranium supply chain is still pretty concentrated globally.
Right. Okay, so wrapping this up, what does this all mean for you, listening? This deep dive really shows that nuclear energy isn't some fringe idea anymore. It's looking like an indispensable cornerstone for our energy future. Our sources suggest that maybe, for your portfolio, Centrus Energy, LEU, and that NLR ETF look like strategic BUIs, strong position, diversification, whereas NuScale, SMR, and OKLO, while really groundbreaking, are perhaps more of a watch. Higher valuations, and that execution risk with new tech is definitely there.
Exactly. This feels like a true secular shift, a long-term change, not just a temporary blip. The evidence is tangible. The IEA, that's the International Energy Agency, they're projecting record nuclear electricity generation globally in 2025. The potential is immense, absolutely. But yeah, execution remains key. They have to deliver.
So what stands out to you from all this? As you think about it, how might this inescapable atom really redefine things? Not just our power grids, but maybe even global power dynamics for decades to come. Something to mull over.